when you least expect it, when the world has gone quiet, when all the noise in your heart has grown too loud to bear, that's when he comes. That's when the Holy Spirit comes rushing into your life like a mighty wind, a wind you did not call, but one that knew exactly when to arrive. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all together. You don't need to earn it. He doesn't come because you are good. He comes because he is good. You may be sitting in the middle of broken pieces, but the Spirit doesn't step away from brokenness. He moves into it. He doesn't need a golden vessel. He just needs a yielded heart. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to wear a mask of strength or hide your weaknesses behind a polished life. The Holy Spirit does not come because you've lived flawlessly. He does not come because you've prayed long enough or cried hard enough or repented with perfect words. He doesn't arrive because of your spiritual resume or religious routines. He comes because of grace. And grace means it has nothing to do with what you've earned. It has everything to do with who he is. The presence of the Holy Spirit is not a reward, it's a gift that flows from the love of God to the heart that is willing to say, "Here I am, broken as I am." So many people spend their lives trying to fix themselves before inviting the Spirit in. They think if they can just clean up their mess, if they can just stop sinning, if they can just be more spiritual, then maybe God will come close. But that's not how he works. He doesn't wait for the healing to happen before he enters. He is the healer. He doesn't wait until the chains are broken. He comes to break them. This is why his presence is so beautiful. It's not based on performance. It's based on love. Love that sees through the layers. Love that knows your story from beginning to end and still says, "I choose you." The Holy Spirit isn't attracted to strength. He's drawn to surrender. He's not moved by prideful perfection, but by a heart that says, "God, I need you." In your most desperate moment, when you feel like the least deserving person in the world, that's when he comes rushing in. Because that's who he is. He comes to the weary, to the tired soul that says, "I can't do this alone anymore." He comes to the one who's tried everything and failed, to the one who thinks they've messed up too many times. He shows up when you think it's too late, when others have walked away, when even your own hope has grown cold. The Holy Spirit steps into that silence, not with condemnation, but with comfort, not with judgment, but with mercy. Not with a list of your faults, but with the fullness of his presence. There is something so tender about the way he moves. He doesn't crash in to demand that you measure up. He comes softly, gently, powerfully, filling the cracks, lifting the weight, breathing life into places you thought were dead. You don't have to invite him in with loud words. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's just a tear, and sometimes it's simply your silence, your heart saying, "I need you," without a single word, and he comes. He doesn't come because of who you are. He comes because of who he is. And who he is never changes. His goodness isn't shaken by your weakness. His love isn't limited by your past. His mercy doesn't run out because you fell short again. The Holy Spirit is not afraid of your flaws. He's not surprised by your failures. He is drawn to the one who knows they need him, and in that moment of truth, when you stop trying to earn what can only be received, that's when he moves. That's when the wind of heaven rushes in and breathes again upon your soul. Don't wait until you have it all together. Don't wait until you think you're worthy. Open your heart now, right where you are. The Holy Spirit is not looking for perfection. He's looking for permission. And when you give him that, he will do what only he can do. Fill you with a love, a power, and a peace that no effort of your own could ever produce. That's the wonder of grace. That's the beauty of his presence. There is something divine that happens when a heart surrenders. It is not in striving, not in struggling, but in surrender that the atmosphere of heaven is released into a life. The world teaches us to fight, to resist, to always be in control. But the Spirit of God does not enter through force or formula. He enters through yieldedness. When you finally stop trying to do it all yourself, when you release the weight of figuring it out, when you fall to your knees and whisper, "Your will, not mine," heaven takes notice. Surrender is not weakness. It is power in its purest form. Because it is in surrender that you say to God, "I trust you more than I trust me." You step out of your own wisdom, your own plans, your own fears, and you step into the arms of the Holy Spirit. And in that moment, when the soul bows low, the presence of God rises up within you. Not because you earned it, not because you figured it all out, but because you made room for him to move. You see, the Holy Spirit will not fight you for control. He is gentle, patient, and holy. He stands at the door of your life, waiting, not to be invited as a guest, but welcomed as Lord. He waits for surrender, because surrender is the only place where he can fully operate. As long as your hands are clenched tightly around your own plans, your own timing, your own understanding, there is no space for him to fill. But the moment your hands open, the moment your heart says, "I release it all," he comes rushing in, not to take away, but to restore, to guide, to empower. It is not in the mountain top moments that surrender becomes real, it's in the valley. It's in the midnight hours when the tears won't stop. It's when nothing is working and you've reached the end of your strength. That's when surrender becomes more than a word. It becomes a posture. It's lying face down in the quiet, whispering, "Lord, I'm yours, all of me, no conditions, no terms, just yours." And that is the moment the atmosphere begins to shift. The chains you couldn't break start to fall. The confusion begins to clear. The fire you thought was gone starts to flicker again. Surrender invites the Holy Spirit to lead. It removes the resistance and opens the door for divine direction. It's no longer you trying to figure out the next step. It's him showing you the way, one moment at a time. When you surrender, you don't lose control. You place it in the safest hands possible, and suddenly what seemed impossible in your strength becomes effortless in his. There is a reason why God uses surrendered vessels, because they're flexible, moldable, teachable. A surrendered heart says, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." And the Holy Spirit doesn't pass by a heart like that. He dwells in it. He speaks to it. He works through it. There is no telling what God will do with a life fully surrendered to his Spirit. Surrender is not about giving up your desires. It's about aligning them with his. It's saying, "God, if you say yes, I say yes. If you say wait, I'll wait. If you close the door, I'll trust you no better than I do." That kind of surrender moves heaven. That kind of surrender becomes the launching pad for supernatural encounters, for divine peace, for miracles to manifest. And what's most amazing is this: the more you surrender, the freer you become. You are no longer driven by fear or the need for control. You are anchored in trust, led by his Spirit, carried by his grace. And in that place of surrender, you don't just survive. You begin to live in the fullness of his presence, where peace flows like a river and his purpose unfolds like a sunrise, one obedient step at a time. When the Holy Spirit comes, nothing stays the same. It is not a small shift or a gentle nudge. It is a complete transformation from the inside out. His presence doesn't just skim the surface of your life. It reaches into the deepest parts, touching wounds you forgot were there, healing places you tried to hide, and awakening dreams you thought had died. His arrival doesn't merely change your surroundings. It changes you. The very atmosphere around you responds to him. But even more, your inner world is forever shifted. When he comes, fear has no choice but to flee. It cannot coexist with the perfect love that the Spirit brings. Anxiety and torment begin to unravel in his peace. Your mind that once raced with worry begins to quiet. That constant feeling of being overwhelmed or not enough suddenly, it starts to lift. The Holy Spirit doesn't ask for perfection. He brings clarity, order, and calm to chaos. You don't have to explain yourself or defend your pain. He understands it without a word and meets you right there, offering comfort and strength. His power is not loud, but it is undeniable. You begin to see differently. The things that once consumed you begin to lose their grip. He doesn't need to remove you from your situation to bring peace. He brings peace in the situation. That's how powerful his presence is. You may still be walking through the same valley, but now you walk with boldness. Now you walk with confidence, not in your own strength, but because you know you are not alone. He begins to rewire how you think. The lies that have shaped your identity for years are replaced by truth. You're no longer defined by your past, your mistakes, or your insecurities. The Holy Spirit begins to remind you of who you are in God, chosen, loved, equipped, and called. The opinions of others no longer hold the same weight. The old need for approval is replaced with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are seen, known, and valued by the one who created you. This transformation isn't always dramatic in appearance. Sometimes it's as simple as a new kind of peace. Sometimes it's a strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes it's the ability to forgive someone you never thought you could. These moments may seem small, but they are proof of his power working inside of you. And over time, they build a life that looks nothing like the one you had before he came. The Spirit also awakens purpose. When he comes, he doesn't just bring comfort. He brings direction. He starts to stir something inside of you that you may have buried. The calling, the vision, the dream that seemed out of reach begins to feel possible again. You begin to realize that you were made for more, not in a prideful way, but with a quiet realization that God put something eternal inside of you, and the Holy Spirit is the one who activates it. His presence also produces fruit. You don't have to try to manufacture love, joy, patience, or self-control. These begin to grow naturally as you abide in him. Where there was once bitterness, kindness grows. Where there was fear, faith takes root. It's not about striving, it's about staying close, and the closer you stay, the more you reflect him. The transformation is not forced, it flows. So when the Holy Spirit comes, he doesn't simply fix what's broken. He recreates, he redefines, he revives. You become someone new, not just improved, but transformed. And the evidence of that change will not only be felt in your own life, but seen by everyone around you. They will know that something has shifted, that something divine has touched your life, because when the Spirit comes, everything changes, and nothing stays the same. The Holy Spirit does not desire a passing moment in your life. He does not come to give you a temporary emotional experience or a fleeting touch that fades by morning. His desire is to dwell, to live, to take up residence within you. He is not looking for a weekend visit. He is looking for a permanent home. He wants habitation, not visitation, and when you understand that, your entire relationship with God shifts from momentary encounters to daily communion. There are many who experience powerful moments in His presence, at a church service, a worship night, in a time of desperate prayer, and yet go back to life as if that encounter was a rare event. But the Spirit was never meant to be someone you meet occasionally. He is not a guest to be entertained. He is the Lord who wants to walk with you, talk with you, and be involved in every part of your life. The moment you wake up, He is there. When you are at work, He is there. In the silence, in the struggle, in the ordinary, He is there, not to pass by, but to stay. You see, the Holy Spirit makes your heart His dwelling place. He chooses to abide in you, to fill you, to lead you, and to teach you. He is the constant voice whispering truth, the gentle nudge guiding your steps, the quiet peace that calms your fears. But to experience that daily intimacy, you must make room for Him, not just in crisis, not just in worship services, but in the stillness of your morning, in the middle of your daily routines, in the choices you make and the thoughts you dwell on. He wants to inhabit your life in such a way that you become completely saturated with His presence. That your first instinct is to ask Him, that your thoughts begin to align with His truth, that your emotions begin to submit to His peace. This kind of habitation changes how you live. You are no longer chasing after spiritual highs. You begin to walk in a steady, growing relationship with the Spirit of God, and that consistency becomes the foundation of a powerful, unshakable life. When you treat the Holy Spirit as someone who only shows up on special occasions, you miss the beauty of His friendship. He is not just power, He is a person, and just like any relationship, consistency is the key. He doesn't want a brief moment of passion. He desires a lifetime of connection. He wants to be invited into your decisions, your thoughts, your creativity, your pain, and your joy. There is no part of your life too small for Him to care about. To host His presence is to become aware of Him throughout the day. It is to carry Him with reverence, to listen for His voice, to pause and yield when He whispers. This kind of relationship doesn't just happen, it grows as you pursue it. It deepens as you make space for Him, not just on Sundays, but on Mondays in traffic, at the grocery store, in conversations with your family. You begin to understand that you are the temple, the very dwelling place of God, and that realization changes everything. The world doesn't need more people who visit God occasionally. It needs people who are carriers of His presence. People who don't just talk about the Spirit but live in step with Him. And that happens when you move from visitation to habitation. When your heart becomes a home, not a hotel. When you say, Holy Spirit, I don't want you just when I feel desperate. I want you every hour, every moment, every breath. This is what He longs for, to make your life His sanctuary, to abide in you and with you. Not for a moment, but forever. There are places deep within the human soul that no one else can reach. Not doctors, not therapists, not even the people who love you the most. There are wounds too hidden to describe, memories too painful to revisit, and emotions too tangled to explain. But the Holy Spirit, He goes there. He sees what no one else sees. He understands what even you cannot put into words. And when He comes, He doesn't come to judge those broken places. He comes to heal them. Healing isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with bright lights and dramatic moments. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the gentle lifting of a weight you've carried so long you didn't even realize it was there. Sometimes it's waking up and realizing you don't feel the same crushing sadness you used to. Sometimes it's being able to take a deep breath and feel peace where there was once panic. That's the power of the Holy Spirit at work, not just on the outside of your life, but on the inside, where no one else can touch. He knows where the pain lies. He knows the exact moment that lie took root in your heart, the lie that said you weren't good enough, that you were unwanted, that your mistake defined you. And he knows how to speak a truth so powerful it breaks that lie apart forever. The Holy Spirit does not shame you into healing. He loves you into it. He doesn't rush the process. He walks with you through it. He waits as long as it takes. And every time you let him in just a little more, he brings more light, more truth, more restoration. Sometimes healing comes as tears in the presence of God. Sometimes it's laughter that bubbles up when you least expect it. Sometimes it's a sudden realization that you've forgiven someone who hurt you deeply. The Holy Spirit works in ways that are personal, intimate, and perfectly tailored to your journey. What he heals in one moment, he strengthens in the next. What he removes, he replaces with something better. Where there was once fear, he plants faith. Where there was bitterness, he pours out love. You may not always recognize what he's doing while he's doing it. Healing often feels like letting go of control, of pain, of identity wrapped in trauma. But the more you surrender, the more he rebuilds. And what he rebuilds is always stronger, always purer, always marked by peace. The scars don't disappear, but they no longer carry pain. They become reminders of his faithfulness, of his power to restore what was lost. There are also moments when the Spirit will bring something up that you thought you had forgotten, not to hurt you, but to heal you, to bring light to the darkness that still lingers beneath the surface. And in those moments, you can trust him. You can trust that he's not exposing you to embarrass you. He's revealing truth to liberate you, because he never uncovers what he does not intend to heal. He will meet you in the silence. He will meet you in the places where you've buried the pain. He's not afraid of your story. He's not surprised by your weakness. In fact, it's in your weakness that his strength is made perfect. And so he comes, patient, powerful, and full of compassion. The Holy Spirit doesn't do surface-level work. He specializes in transformation, and that begins with healing, deep, lasting healing that reaches places no human hand ever could. He touches the heart, the mind, and the soul. He restores what the enemy tried to steal. He rebuilds what life tried to tear down, and he does it not with pressure or fear, but with perfect love. There is no darkness so thick, no past so broken, and no place so far that the Holy Spirit cannot reach. His power does not falter in the face of your failures. His light does not dim in the presence of your shadows. He is not intimidated by what you've been through. He is not shocked by what you've done or what's been done to you. In fact, those are the very places where his power shines the brightest, where his presence becomes undeniable, because he doesn't avoid darkness. He invades it. You may feel unworthy. You may feel too damaged, too far gone. But the Holy Spirit knows how to find you. He knows how to navigate the ruins of your soul and speak life into what you thought was dead. You don't have to clean yourself up before he comes. You don't have to fix everything before you invite him in. That's not how he works. He comes into the mess. He steps into the middle of the confusion, the guilt, the shame, and he begins to do what no one else can. He brings transformation. When the Holy Spirit enters, the darkness must bow. It has no authority in his presence. The lies that have held you hostage begin to unravel. The torment that has kept you bound begins to break. The fear that has ruled your thoughts begins to loosen its grip. Because when truth enters, lies lose their power. When love enters, fear has no place. When light enters, darkness flees. That's what the Spirit does. He replaces what once defined you with what now refines you. You may feel like you've been in the dark for so long that the light would hurt too much. But the Holy Spirit doesn't come to blind you. He comes to gently awaken you. He knows how to reach the places you've hidden. He knows how to speak to the parts of you that no one else knows about. He comes not with condemnation, but with restoration, not to shame you, but to clothe you in dignity. His presence doesn't expose to embarrass. It exposes to heal. There is no addiction, no secret, no sin, and no sorrow that is more powerful than the Spirit of God. You can run, but you cannot hide from His mercy. You can fall, but you cannot fall beyond His reach. His pursuit of you is relentless, not because He's angry, but because He loves you with a love that refuses to give up. You may think it's too late, but He never operates on your timeline. He redeems time. He redeems stories. He redeems lives. You're not too broken. You're not too far. The Spirit that hovered over the waters in the beginning, the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead, is the same Spirit that now longs to dwell in you. That power lives to resurrect what's been buried. That power lives to bring order where there's been chaos. That power lives to bring beauty where there's been ashes. And what He begins, He finishes. He won't leave you halfway. He won't bring you out of the dark only to abandon you. He walks with you into healing, into wholeness, into purpose. And every time the darkness tries to creep back in, His light burns even brighter. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to hide. You don't have to carry the shame. The Holy Spirit has come, not to visit, but to live, not to judge, but to free. And in His presence, nothing broken stays broken. Nothing lost stays lost. Nothing dark stays dark. He is the Spirit of truth, of love, of power, and He has come for you, not to leave you where you are, but to take you into everything God always intended for your life. You are not beyond reach. You are exactly where His light is ready to shine.